This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we're looking back on the men's and women's cross-country team's trip to Louisville, which saw both teams finish in the top 10, and the women finish second overall. We also celebrate our Bobcats of the week, Katie Barker of the women's cross-country team, and football's Mark Upton, who had a couple other awards to celebrate as well. All that and more coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The football team traveled to Tufts on Saturday and engaged in a defensive struggle with the Jumbos. The Bobcats trailed 6-0 at halftime, but quarterback Sandy Plashkus found Brian Daly for a 30-yard touchdown pass, and the extra point made the score 7-6 in favor of Bates, with 11:58 to go in the third quarter. However, the Jumbos managed to score their lone touchdown of the game in the fourth quarter on a 15-yard Ryan McDonald run into the end zone. Their two-point conversion attempt was no good, but Tufts hung on from there to beat the Bobcats 12-7. We caught up with head coach Mark Harriman to recap the low-scoring affair in Somerville. Well, Coach, rainy conditions at Tufts this past weekend. First of all, how has that changed the game in terms of both sides when it's that rainy out there on the field?
There's an old philosophy that you want to try to make things happen while the track is as good as possible, the field did get chewed up relatively quickly. So we felt we might be able to hold some things off until early in the second half, but by midway through the second quarter it was basically a ground game for both teams.
Yeah, trying to run the football, and so for the defense, I mean, at least from the Bates perspective, that makes it a little bit more predictable out there, right?
Yeah, again, it just with the conditions, the wind was pretty good, blowing pretty good. So if you're, obviously throwing into the wind was an issue. So that even limited it even more. So it did become more of a who was going to be able to stop the run.
And then Mark Upton, especially in the second half, really just had a huge game. I mean, career-high 17 tackles, 11 of those were solo tackles. Just watching the game, your perspective, he normally has great games, but this one in particular stood out. So what was so effective about him on Saturday?
Yeah, well, that's his forte is he's a great run defender, and a team that's going to come out and attempt to run the football on us, with him in the middle is we kind of like that scenario. So he did a great job of just being disciplined with what he was doing and letting his keys take him to the ball.
On offense, only one pass completion because of the weather, but it was a big one, right? A 30-yard strike to Brian Daly for a touchdown. Daly had a 16-yard catch in the first game also. He sort of emerged this year a little bit for you guys. What makes him effective as a wide receiver?
Yeah, well, he's doing a great job with everything. He's doing a great job with his perimeter blocking. He's doing a great job running routes. He's got good quickness, can get off the line, and has just continued to make some plays for us. It was a situation where we felt that, again, in different situations they were going to be susceptible to some play action pass, and due to the weather conditions, we didn't end up throwing him that often, but he was open on that one with obviously running a great route and good play action fake, and Sandy threw a nice ball.
I noticed Tufts brought in a different quarterback in the second half who ran the ball a lot for them. Would you have any tape on him before that game?
We did not. He's a young guy. We know, just from recruiting, that he was more of a zone read, type of quarterback, and did a good job. And they made a couple of plays go that they had not run. They have run the zone read play with the quarterback keeping the ball before that with their starter. They put in a nice little wrinkle that they were able to hold till later in the game, and had a couple of plays that he was able to make go up in the middle, and really that was probably the difference in the game.
And then I know after the first game you talked about needing to maintain the intensity level throughout the entire game. Do you feel like the team did that this time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I felt we played really solid for 60 minutes. The thing that I was really impressed with is that our intensity level was better coming out at halftime than it had been certainly the first week. But I think that's something that we talked to our guys about. That was a goal of ours, to make sure that the second half was going to we were going to crank that intensity level up, and I thought guys did that.
And then, obviously, this week you got a home game, finally, right, hosting Williams, a team that's off to a tough start. They're 0-2, and so, I mean, offensively, obviously, the key will be to put some more points on the board. I mean, what are you looking to work on in practice this week to make that happen?
Yeah, well, we've got to balance out. I mean, that was our goal going in. Certainly, the weather played a factor on not allowing us to do that a little bit. So we hope that we'll be able to do that this week. I mean, obviously, this is a great day to be back at home, back at Bates with all the festivities on campus, and our guys will be excited to play in front of a home crowd. And we took I think a huge step as a team this past week, and if we continue to do that throughout this week in practice and put it all together on Saturday, I feel confident we'll come out with a win.
All right, great. Last question for you. First 2 weeks of the year, what do you think you've learned about your team so far that's really stuck out to you that you're going to apply going forward?
Yeah, well, they're resilient. I mean, we obviously ran into a really good team week one, and if you look at what they did to Williams last week, that certainly kind of puts things into perspective for us. So I think, putting that aside and being able to come back this week and really go, toe to toe with a quality football team in Tufts has shown us that, these guys, again, they come out and work hard every day, and if we can continue to improve in the areas that we need to, then I think, everything's going to work out fine for us.
All right, Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Despite the loss, it was another banner game for senior captain Mark Upton. He tallied a career-high 17 tackles and a career-high 4 tackles for loss to go along with a sack on the afternoon. Earlier in the week, Upton was named a semifinalist for the National Football Foundation's William V. Campbell Trophy for Scholar Athletes. He is the only player from the NESCAC to make the list of 156 football players from across every level of college football. Then, after his performance against Tufts, the NESCAC honored Upton as the Defensive Player of the Week in the conference. For those reasons, Upton is our male Bobcat of the Week.
Talking with our male Bobcat of the Week, Mark Upton, here on the Bobcast. And first of all, rainy conditions down there at Tufts, at least what I saw on the web stream. Yeah. 17 tackles, lots of rushing from both sides. What was that like for you as a linebacker playing in those conditions?
It was a long game, but yeah, the mud made it a little easier for us. We got to focus mostly on the run game, which was what they were the best at and which we were the best at. So it was big, a lot of run game, and helped kind of simplify the game. It kind of took a lot of the passing out, which helped us on defense, even though he's a really good back, probably the best back in the league, but also hurt our offense a little bit. But it was a hard game, and unfortunately it didn't go our way, but a lot of improvement from the week before.
Throughout the game, as you're making all those tackles, like you had a career-high 17, are you thinking, this is a lot of tackles even for me normally?
No, I was thinking about a lot of other things, but it was, a lot of dirt on the jersey when I took it off. And, it was a lot of tackles all around for everyone, so I didn't really notice it. I was just happy.
Coach Harriman says you're especially strong as a run stopper. What do you like about stopping the run so much?
I'm not as great in space, so that's why I'm in the middle. I have my two more athletic outside linebackers outside of me, but yeah, it kind of simplifies it and get to go downhill. It's always kind of been it's been my bread and butter, and I've been trying to work on the passing game a lot this year, especially coming in, so making improvements, but definitely not my forte.
I know former Boston College star Luke Kuechly is now in the NFL's kind of your role model in terms of how you play. What makes him an example for you?
Because he can do it all. We were actually just watching him on the TV right over there before. But yeah, he's incredible. I used to watch him when he was at BC. Did the BC camp the year after he graduated, and I think all of our linebacker meetings were watching his highlight tapes. So, but yeah, the way he sees the field, the way he sees the passing game especially, and he knows, and I mean, his preparation, kind of seeing what the play is going to be before it even happens, is definitely something I try to take into it. Can't do it as well, but I'm definitely trying.
Now, I know you're a senior now, but this is the first time I've had you on the Bobcast, so I got to ask you a question I ask everybody, first-time guest, back when you were looking at colleges, what attracted you to Bates?
Oh, it was Bates wanted me. I was definitely looking for a spot that had that mutual. I looked at all the schools in NESCAC, and Bates happened to be the one that worked out, and I'm incredibly thankful for it now. It was a long process, but I'm definitely where I should be.
And we got the home opener this Saturday. How excited are you after 2 road games to finally be home?
Yeah, it's going to be great. There's going to be a lot of fans up. I mean, we had a good, almost equal turnout at Tufts, and I think it's going to be great having everyone up. Definitely looking to get that first win. That's how it worked out, I want to say my sophomore year, and it's definitely a great experience having everyone there.
Yeah, for back to Bates weekend coming up. And then for you, I know you have interests off the football field as well. Tell us about those.
Well, I'm a politics major, so this is now a big time. Lot of debates, a lot of watching, talking in the room, having my roommates over and having some heated discussions. That's definitely a big part of, especially now. I was in D.C. last semester in the spring, so it's been kind of nonstop. So I'm thankful football's been get to watch some football instead of talking about politics.
Football a little bit of a distraction then?
Yeah. Well, yes, most definitely. Yeah.
And then, what's Coach Harriman like? He's a former linebacker himself, right?
Yeah, he's definitely, I think he was saying he's really excited to be back he played linebacker, used to be a linebacker coach, so it's great. He has a lot of like small points that kind of get lost when you're talking more macro level, but he definitely knows what he's talking about, so it's been great to have him and kind of get closer to him. He's kind of oversees everything, but it's good to get some time with him.
As one of the team captains, what do you say to some of the younger guys who may, not necessarily be discouraged, but maybe disappointed, 0-2 at the moment, but, there's lots of season ahead?
Yeah, right. I think it's looking at the progress week to week. I mean, the first game, played a really strong first half and then didn't come up in the second half. Yesterday, or on Saturday, we played probably 3.5 or quarter, because we're making a lot of progress, so we're now trying to just have to look at it game by game. Now it's time to put it all together for Williams.
Sure, absolutely. And then for you personally, what are some of your goals as the season moves forward? What do you want to see happen in your final year as a Bates Bobcat?
Well, I definitely want the CBB.
Yeah.
I definitely, because I think we've won or shared it all 3 years now. I'm pretty sure.
Back-to-back outright time.
Yeah. So it's been, it's definitely always a goal, but it's also kind of proven that we're right there. We can make that jump, and I think it's as freshmen, we saw 4-4, getting over that hump, and we were a little disappointed last year. We couldn't continue that momentum, so definitely trying to set something for our legacy going on, trying to help the program move forward after we leave.
All right, great. Well, Mark, congrats again on not only being our Bobcat of the Week, but the NESCAC Defensive Player of the Week as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
The volleyball team got the week off to a good start with a 3-0 victory over St. Joseph's on Tuesday. Sophomore Claire Naughton tallied 12 kills with a remarkable kill percentage of 55%. She joined the Bobcast after the match.
Well, Claire, a 3-0 victory here today over St. Joseph's, kind of a non-conference prep for really the meat of the NESCAC schedule. What were you all working on today to prepare for, the tough matches ahead here?
We just really wanted to focus on controlling our side of the court, doing what we can do, and working the best that we can. And so we were just really focusing on ourselves and on working and improving and using this as an opportunity to really see what we can do.
And I saw you obviously get a ton of kills there up by the net. Sometimes you'll spike it or sometimes you'll try to finesse it over. How do you decide what you're going to be doing?
I've got some great teammates out there, and everyone does a really good job of talking to me and letting me know. Coach is really good at informing us about what's going on the other side of the net, and we just all really cooperate and work together to make sure everyone's making the smart plays.
Last year you got to play a lot as a first year. What was that experience like?
It was really exciting. It was really fun to come in and be with a new team and be with a new coach and be with a new program, and I just really love every opportunity I get to play volleyball.
And this team coming together this year, what's it looking like? It's kind of a nice bounce-back win after you had the 2-0 lead the other day, but this time you're able to just finish them off, right?
Mm-hmm, that was really nice. I think we're really working on our chemistry. We're working on how we work together on our side of the court and trying to just focus on ourselves and control what we can control.
What did you learn from your experience playing last year as a first year about NESCAC playing, how tough it is?
That you can never quit, you can never give up, you got to keep pushing. It doesn't matter if you're up or you're down, the game isn't over until someone hits 25, and that's a really important thing to remember.
What do you think the points of emphasis will be in practice leading up to the couple of road games you have?
I think just making sure that we have all our hitters operating, we have our setters running a really aggressive offense, and our defense just picks up every ball they can.
All right, Claire, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
The weekend saw the cross-country teams send their top 10 men and their top 10 women to Louisville, the site of the 2016 NCAA championship meet for the Louisville Cross Country Classic. The men's team finished 7th out of 43 teams, with first-year James Jones finishing 12th overall out of 388 runners. Head coach Al Farashidian updates us on the 24th nationally ranked Bobcats.
It was a great trip, and it was, the meet was serving as the pre-national meet and an opportunity to get on what will turn out to be the national championship course later on in the year. So it was a great experience to get on out there and to go to a place we've never been before. And Louisville, Kentucky is kind of a fun place to visit. We had a chance to go visit the Louisville Slugger Museum and Hall of Fame, and that place was phenomenal. It was just we had a very, very good time. I think the kids, had a tremendous opportunity to get into a big meet, and they handled themselves reasonably well. I think we would have hoped for a little better finish, but at the same time, to get in a field of 43 teams and 350 runners, and to certainly be in the front part of that field, that bodes well for gaining experience and moving in a good direction.
And then James Jones finished 12th out of those hundreds of runners, and so how do you evaluate his performance? Looked like pretty good again from him first year. Yeah,
he's been excellent, and he's very consistent. And I think that was a very solid performance for him. I think we're still being a little conservative with him as far as getting him out at the start of races. And I think he was probably somewhere around 25th with the first 2 miles of the race. So he moved up significantly over the second half of the race, and that's that's something we try to build in. And as he gets a little bit more experience, I think we'll be able to get him out a little bit faster, get him a little bit closer to the front, and be able to utilize some of that strength, more effectively later on.
Is this something the team typically does, is a preview like where the Nationals would be, or is this unique for this year?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, we'd like to do it, but a lot of times it's just not feasible that we can get it done. For the last 5 or 6 years, though, we've been trying to add a national invitational onto our competitive schedule for this same reason, having the experience. If we do get the chance to go out there, we're going to go out there with a bunch of guys that have never been to nationals before. So this was just good experience to get on a plane, to get there, see the course, get all fired up, have all of that stuff, and then figure out how do you deal with that come race time. And I think what this weekend will turn out to be is a great learning experience for the team.
And then this upcoming weekend, no meet schedule, but then the following week you do have the Maine State meet, and that's always really big for you guys, right?
Yeah, it's a meet we've had a lot of success in over the past. It's a meet that we care about, and I think all the teams here in Maine care about. But you've hit the nail on the head, and this is an off week for us, but that means it's just a great week of preparation, and so we're going to try to learn from our experience this past weekend and get back to work and try to get some good things in this week and be ready to go next week on our home course.
Yeah, and you mentioned you were hoping for maybe a slightly better performance overall. So would be your point of emphasis to the team in the upcoming week or so, preparing for the next, for Maine States and next beyond that?
Well, we're training very well. The guys are very well prepared. I've been really pleased with what I'm seeing in practices and workouts and things along that lines. Now I think the key for us is learning how to compete consistently at the level that we're training and preparing at when we get into those meet situations. And being in that big, large meet situation this weekend, is something that a lot of these guys haven't had a ton of experience in, and I think it was valuable to get that in. But when we, focusing later in the year, we're trying to really get ready for the New England Regional Championships, and there'll be 60-plus teams in that field, and so we've got to be ready to handle a big field and be ready to race consistently with the way that we're training and preparing. So that's really going to be consistency, and consistency over time has been always one of the primary principles principles that we try to base our program on, and that's what we got to continue to work on.
All right, Al, thanks so much for your time.
Good. Thank you, Aaron.
The women's cross-country team shined in Louisville, finishing second out of 39 teams. And once again, senior Jessica Wilson led the way, finishing ninth out of 332 individuals. The Bobcats finished ahead of 3 nationally ranked teams, and only number 14 nationally ranked Hope College finished ahead of Bates by just 4 points. Head coach Jay Hartshorn reflects on the great weekend.
Well, Jay, a second-place finish at the Louisville Cross Country Classic for the women's cross country team. First of all, how was the trip? Because obviously it's kind of a unique regular season trip for the team to make.
It was something that I think really motivated people's training this summer, knowing that we were going to make this trip and we could only bring 10 people. What was good about it is it actually in a lot of ways felt easier than what we did last year, which was taking a bus to Paul Short, being on a bus for 8 hours versus being on a plane for 3 hours, and then also being able to move around when you have a layover. So that part of it made it almost feel a little bit easier, despite the fact that we went much further away.
And then, obviously, kind of a unique city. I know the men's team did a lot of tourism type stuff. Did you guys do anything like that?
Yeah, what was really fun was that none of the girls had been to Kentucky before, none of the women. So we were in Kentucky, and then we walked across the pedestrian bridge, and we were in Indiana, and none of them had been to Indiana before. So we crossed those 2 states off everyone's list. So we also spent some time downtown, which was pretty cool. And then just sort of all being together and like sort of being a whole day somewhere together was something that we don't usually get an opportunity to do. So there's a lot of like team bonding, even if it was just at Whole Foods or wherever.
And then our female Bobcat of the week, Katie, came up big for all there. Her performance, beat her record by like 2 minutes. So what did you see from her in terms of stepping up there?
Yeah, so this is Katie's first sort of real season of cross country. Last year she ran cross country but never ran it in high school and was coming off of ACL surgery from soccer. And so we knew based on track last year that Katie was really going to be able to run cross country this year, but I think she's gained a little bit more confidence. She runs really well with Molly. They worked really well together in the race. And what was really impressive was that they were in with 4 kilometers into the race, so 2 kilometers to go, they were in about 39th and 40th place. And so for Katie to finish, 18th and Molly to finish like 30th and move up so much in that last part was really good. The last part was the only part that was challenging, a little bit bumpy, so the women were really looking forward to that because it was more like what we're used to running, and they thought they'd be really strong at the end versus the beginning was so flat. It's not what we're used to running.
Is there a value of like showing the team like this is where you could end up at the end of the year if you do well enough?
Yeah, well, there's actually still a little bit of confusion about that
okay.
because only because we did not run the course for the women that is the traditional NCAA course. Okay. We were on the same trails and we ran a 6K course. It was the same distance, but it's not the course they've used forever as the 6K. So it would be valuable because regardless, we ran all the trails. We know where we are. We know what we're doing. There's sometimes even a value in like the coaches, like I know where to park. I know how to get there, like that kind of stuff. But I'm still not 100% clear of whether they're switching their 6K course or we're back to the course they've always run. It wasn't a big difference, but it was kind of funny the day before because they were warming up using one map and I was warming up using another map, and I was like, why aren't you guys going the right way? And we are. And then it was, it sort of gave us a good distraction of, haha, we came all this way, we don't know what we're doing, but it all ended up fine, obviously.
Gotcha. And then obviously at the top, Jess and Catherine continue to be your kind of leaders for the team. It seems like they both had a pretty big breakthrough this year, even from last year, maybe.
Yeah, I think their breakthrough really started on the track last year, so we definitely saw it coming, but this year they've been a lot more consistent. And I think what's really worked well is that despite the fact that Jess has, been the number one runner, I really think they're both number one runners, and they've really committed to, like, running the races together and helping each other through it. So I know they were very much together through 4K, and it might have even been just separating maybe in the last 600 or so. So they're really helping each other get to that point before they're like, all right, we're at the end, we got to go, matters like what your ultimate place is. So it's really helpful for them that they have each other to run with and work with and train together and all that kind of stuff.
Great, and then just tell us what's next for the women's cross-country team. I believe states are coming up, followed by NESCACs.
Yeah, we're hosting states, so that's exciting because it doesn't happen too often. And last year we tied for second with Bowdoin, but we lost the tiebreaker and it ended up third. And we haven't won, I think, since it was 2013 was probably the last time we won. So I know a lot of the women are really looking forward to that. And just because it's at home and we've already run well at home, and so we know how to run that course, it should give us a lot of confidence. And so now we have a big meet basically every other weekend. And so we're really into the meat and the heart of our season.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much for the time, and congrats again on second place overall at the Louisville Cross Country Classic there.
Thank you.
Sophomore Katie Barker made the second place finish possible for Bates by turning in the best performance of her career, finishing 19th overall with a time of just under 22 minutes, 30 seconds, a full 2 minutes better than her previous career best in a 6K race. For her efforts, Barker is our female Bobcat of the Week.
It was awesome. It was a lot of fun going into it, and traveling there was just a good time. There was good vibes. I didn't really feel there was a lot of pressure or stress. We kind of were just doing what we knew how to do, what we were doing, and yeah, it was really good to make the trip seem worth it.
I know no one on the team had ever been to Kentucky or Indiana before, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's not a usual state to visit, but it was a lot of fun.
And then how did you first find out about Bates, and why did you end up here? You're a sophomore now, but we'll take us back to your decision-making back when you were in high school.
I never really thought about doing athletics in college until one of my teachers mentioned it to me, and I actually always played soccer and I skied, but then I considered doing track in college, and so I emailed Coach Jay and saw it as an option, and the teacher that I mentioned before actually played football at Wesleyan, so he knew about the D3 life and that, how it was you're able to do it and also balance schoolwork and everything. So I looked into Bates as the NESCAC in Maine, and then Coach Jay, once she said I could do the track team, she was like, you should also just join cross country. So I was like, okay, sure, why not?
Getting adjusted to cross country when you came to college compared to previous athletic experience, what was that like? 'Cause cross country obviously very different.
Yeah, running, it's kind of the same as track. You're just running for a lot longer. So it's definitely the mental mindset is very different. That's a skill in itself, is just knowing how to push yourself for 20-something minutes. Yeah, exactly.
And then how'd the race go in Louisville for you personally? Because obviously you finished third on the team there.
Yeah, it was good. Molly, she led us in the beginning, and just me, Mary, and Molly all ran together at the beginning, and the beginning was definitely pretty crazy, but kind of just locating each other and running the first part of it all together was really helpful. And we try to pack run as much as we can, because just mentally it's easier to do it with someone than by yourself. And then you just give your all until the finish. Yeah.
And then looking forward, what are you most looking forward to the rest of this cross country season?
I'm just looking forward to getting to know our team even better. I feel these past few days have been so fun to get to know the girls better, and it was interesting how it was awesome that I feel I bonded even more with the 10 girls that went, but I almost missed the other half of the team that didn't go, and I was excited to come back on Sunday and hear about how it went at Colby for everyone else. And I guess I'm just looking forward to enjoying the team as much as we can.
All right, thanks so much for your time, and congrats again on being our female Bobcat of the Week.
Thank you so much.
The men's golf team finished 8th at the NESCAC qualifier, led by sophomore Liam McLaughlin, who finished in a tie for 26th place. Meanwhile, it was a tough weekend for the volleyball, soccer, and field hockey teams. They went a combined 0-8 against some very tough NESCAC foes, including nationally ranked teams from Trinity and Amherst. But the good news is all 4 of those teams have chances to bounce back this weekend at home, because it's back to Bates weekend, and pretty much every team is home this Saturday for the homecoming festivities. There are a lot of great events to check out, and one of those is the Wallach Invitational. an annual fall tournament hosted by the Bates men's tennis team. We caught up with head coach Paul Gassingay to preview the final fall tournament for the Bobcats, hosted right here on campus this weekend.
The Wallach Invitational is a tradition where we get to play in front of our home fans. It's an exciting event, especially on Parents Weekend and Homecoming Weekend. It's nice to have a lot of people here at this, amazing tennis center. And the guys get to, take this opportunity. It's one more opportunity in the fall to really work on their game, and we're just building for the spring. So every time we play matches against other teams, it's experience that we're trying to get better, and you can't do that unless you play other teams in tournaments. So
yeah, absolutely. Go back to ITAs a little bit. Another strong doubles performance by Josh Keanu and Nick Glover. How's that team look? I mean, that team's looking good so far, right?
Really excited about that pairing. They really clicked together. They ended up losing to the same team from Middlebury that they lost to in the finals at the Middlebury Invite. So, I think they can be one of the best teams in the country. And, we still have Ben Rosen, one of our top doubles players, away, which will, mix up our pairings again for the spring. But I really like that combo, and they're a great team.
Yeah, Ben's studying abroad, right? Is he playing much tennis,
He actually is. He's actually training with Andy Murray's brother's coach, and he's got a whole pool of athletes he's working with up there in Edinburgh. But he's also traveling to London on the weekends and training there with some elite players. And he's actually signed up for 3 professional futures events in the UK that he'll play this fall. So he's getting plenty of tennis. He'll be ready to go. I never worry about Ben.
Absolutely. And now, who are some maybe other players who are sort of developing now, and you're looking forward to see how they perform in the Wallach Invitational?
Well, Chris Ellis really worked his tail off all summer. Unfortunately, had a really bad ankle sprain in the same event that Ben made it to the finals at the National Grass Court Championships, and they were actually playing doubles together, and he pushed through a couple rounds with Ben when he probably shouldn't have, and messed up his ankle pretty bad. So he hadn't played for 5 weeks before this past weekend. So he had a really solid tournament considering he hadn't been able to play that much. But looking forward to getting him back in action. And the first years I can't say enough about. They're really solid, awesome players. Nick Glover lost a tight match to the eventual winner of the ITA from Middlebury, a kid that transferred from Michigan. So we know we have athletes that can play with anyone, and it's really going to come down to how much they work in the off season, and we're going to head into that soon. So everything that they've worked on this fall and we've instilled into their game plan, they have to make their own between October and February.
And then obviously this weekend, as you touched on, lots of sporting events going on here at Bates. It seems like everybody's at home. What can people expect to see if they come out to the Wallach Invitational?
I mean, you're going to see some of the top-level tennis in the nation. We got Bowdoin, who was the national champs last year. But, I mean, pretty much everyone we play in the NESCAC in the Northeast, I mean, they're elite teams, and it's pure Division I level. So if you want to see some great tennis, come on out. There's great viewing, 4 built-in stadiums, so you're no more than 2 courts away. So please come out and support the Bobcats, and looking forward to some awesome tennis.
All right, Paul, thanks so much.
Thanks, Aaron.
It's an action-packed week overall for Bates. This Wednesday, the field hockey team hosts Endicott at 7 o'clock. Then the volleyball team welcomes Wesley into town Friday at 7. On Saturday, the athletic events start at 11 a.m. with the women's soccer team hosting Connecticut College. Field hockey also has a home contest with the Camels at noon, and the men's soccer team hosts them at 2 o'clock. Volleyball takes on Trinity at 1 o'clock in Alumni Gym, and of course, the football team welcomes Williams to Garcelon Field at 1 o'clock as well. No matter where you go this Saturday on the Bates campus, the Bobcats will be in action, and we'll recap it all next time on the Bates Bobcast.
Bates!